Well, I understand you had over 300 people here tonight, which is incredibly impressive. And I've got to tell you, just from a perspective of someone who spends time around City Hall, that this has been extraordinary what the League has done in terms of really educating and getting its message across at City Hall to the members of the council. You really should be, everyone associated should be extremely proud of the fact that it's been a real change in the environment and a real fundamental educational effort that I think has worked on many levels. And John deserves a lot of credit with it. I always like to talk about John's incredibly aggressive approach to lobbying. But I'll say very quickly, look, I've had the opportunity to work with so many activists on so many important issues. To me, this is a real basic question of how our government and how our society approaches everybody in our city and everything in our city. And I think the notion that we need to move in a more humane direction, we need to, in our education system, in our laws, in everything we do, create a greater respect and a greater sense of being as part of a collective society. I think that typifies the work you do. I've been a sponsor of the tethering bill, of the pets and housing bill, of the sprinkler bill. I am very, very proud these last few days. It took some quick effort and organizing, but we got a home rule passed at the City Council to support Assemblymember Rosenthal's bill in Albany to create a fund for spaying and neutering, which I think is a big step forward. Very proud of that. I know there was a discussion a little while ago about trying to continue to push for change from Con Edison to stop seeing people and animals harmed by voltage. We had one of the worst incidents in my district in Park Slope, and I have pushed very hard, like John Liu, to try and get real changes in the way Con Edison does its work and to keep monitoring that work because we need that change. So I've been focused and committed on these issues. And I just want to spend one more quick minute on just what I think Public Advocate has to do in general, because I think it's germane to the whole approach that you've taken here. Public Advocate really has to be, in many ways, the community organizer for the whole city, the check and balance on the mayor, the watchdog over the whole city government. And it has to be an activist position. It has to be a position that takes on the status quo. That's the nature of it. It has to be done strategically and effectively. And again, that's been the way you've approached so much of this work. I have a pretty clear tradition in the council. I took on the mayor and led the opposition on term limits bill, which I thought was deeply necessary. And I have taken on, I know you've tangled with landlords before, I have taken on the Rent Stabilization Association against their desires and against the mayor's. We passed the bill to ban discrimination against people who had affordable housing vouchers, which is amazing that those people were being discriminated against, but that's what's happening largely due to the power of the RSA. I took on that battle, and we got that bill passed over their objection. And I can tell you, since so many folks in this room are also very, very ardent environmentalists, that when I proposed the first municipal electronics recycling program in the entire country, I assure you the electronics industry didn't love it, and City Hall didn't love it, but we got it passed despite both their objections, because it's the right thing to do. And I'll conclude by saying I honestly believe that we all need a public advocate that can take on the mayor when he's wrong, of course support him when he's right, but take him on when he's wrong. I don't think we've ever seen more power in one place in this city than we've seen lately in Michael Bloomberg City Hall, and I think we need a response to that. And one of the responses is the kind of organizing you do every day, and another response is to elect a public advocate that knows how to take on the mayor when he's wrong. And that's what I aim to be, and I would very, very much like your support. Thank you very much.
Actually, I wasn't supposed to do this. 2 questions tonight I'm giving myself. What do we have to do to get you to support the ban on horse-drawn carriages?
The honest truth is, I am entirely open, and I know, every advocacy group on earth wants something more than that, but the truth is, I have not sat down with either side to hear the arguments. I am troubled, very clearly, by what I'm hearing, what the comptroller's audit said, what you've said about the treatment of the horses. It doesn't sound acceptable to me. But I need to hear from all sides. I very much believe in strong regulation, and in the meantime, I oppose Kendall Stewart's bill. I think it's a step in the wrong direction.
That's the bill that would take oversight away from the ASPCA and give them a rate increase. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Question.
Yeah, hi, my name is Mia MacDonald, and I run a public policy action tank called Brighter Green that happens to be located in your district in Brooklyn. And I'm working with a group of people, including the League and some environmentalists and some food activists as well on food justice issues, looking at a global warming food print resolution for the City Council that we're hoping that you would support while you're still in the council. And basically, I'll be brief, the idea is to look at the impact of the food system and food choices in New York City in terms of global warming emissions. And none of New York City policies to address none of New York City policies to address global warming look at food and agriculture in terms of consumer choice, but also policy. And so what we would like to see is much more carbon-friendly food that's local, organic, largely plant-based food, more widely available to New Yorkers, particularly in underserved communities, as well as in New York City institutions, schools, prisons, other institutions, more positive institutions as well. So we're hoping you will support that.
I want to say two things. One, I would like to not only support, I'd like to help lead the charge. This is the shape of things. This is really the shape of things to come. This is the way we have to approach government. We have to make the world less friendly to the automobile. We have to make it more friendly to sustainable agriculture and local agriculture. We have to change our entire understanding of what we're doing and how it affects global warming. And our policies have to move with it. I was struck by an article in the Times a few days ago about the suburb in Germany that had built itself explicitly to be car-free. You know, there's a whole new way of thinking we have to foster, and I think New York City, and I felt this very much with electronics recycling, it has to be a laboratory and a bellwether for the rest of the country. So I want to lead the charge. And the second thing I want to say is I have a very personal experience with seeing the world in new ways, and you know, all of us in public life should be careful always to protect the privacy of our families, but this was sort of a public decision, so I should respect it, that one day my 14-year-old daughter came home from one of the mega concerts where they have like 100 bands in 2 days, and she stopped by the PETA booth, and she has been a vegan ever since. And I don't say that to pander. I am not a vegan, but I respect those who are. I don't say it to pander. I say it because I asked her why. And she went into a 14-year-old New York City public school student, and she went into a long explanation of the impact of meat eating on the earth and beyond her own personal moral feelings about it. So she, at 14, got educated, made a choice, and now is spreading it, you know, in a very sort of respectful but powerful manner. It's affecting my thinking, I can tell you, and everyone else around. So I think the notion is we need to get into a very clear conversation about we've got to retool for a different world and do it quickly. So I appreciate what you're doing. I want to support it.